Go ahead, Stephanie.
Okay, awesome. All right. Thank you so much. This is so exciting. So our March call, our March Google Hangout is going to be with Amy Zanto. I'm going to introduce her really quick, and she's going to take over. And then at the end, of course, you guys be listening and taking notes so we can ask her lots of great questions. I love hearing the stories and getting to just hear different perspective and ideas from all our top directors in our national area. So thank you, Amy, for being on with us tonight. So here's a little bit about Amy. Amy started in her Mary Kay in 1996, and she debuted as a sales director in June of 2003. She quit her job as a financial credit analyst, so she used to be in the numbers world, which from what I hear now, Amy, you don't really, you're so glad it's done, I guess.
Yeah.
Awesome. Amy led her unit to the Honor Society, her best first year in the least advanced national area in 2004, most improved in the state of Wisconsin in 2005. That is huge. Amy and her unit have completed many unit clubs, and so far they have topped out at the 650 unit circle of excellence. So that is awesome. And that's a trip. That's a year that you go on a trip, right, Amy?
Yes, we went to Spain.
Spain. Oh, awesome. Okay. So Amy has done national credit sales 3 times, earned 8 free cars since 2003, and 5 of the 8 have been pink Cadillacs. And she loves helping other women to success, and because of that, her highest check in 1 month has been over $13,000 in 1 month. Wow. Amy is the proud executive senior sales director of Angie Steyer, Angela Caston, Jennifer Hammond, Sheila Vandenhouten, and of course Melissa Lamb. In June 2014, Amy was named Company's Most Go Give, and that is the highest honor in Mary Kay, and congratulations to you for that. That was recent, just a couple of years ago. She's married to Tony for 20 years, and they have 2 beautiful children, Audra, who's 11, and Austin, who is 6. And I didn't realize our twins were the same age as Austin. So, very cool. So, let's give it up for Amy, and she is going to share her story of how she got started in Mary Kay and give us some background of, just a different idea of how we work our Mary Kay. So, take it away.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate it. Let's see. I'm going to take you back. I started Mary Kay when I was 21 years old, and I always tell people I started when I was 10, just so you know. I started because kind of an odd reason, I think, than most. I started because I have a sister who's been in Mary Kay for 27 years. You might know her. She's our national sales director, Sue Ponko. And she got my sister-in-law into this business. And to be honest, you guys, I did not have the best attitude when I started out in this business. And I remember when my sister-in-law started, when Cheryl Peterson started. You all know her now, but I remember thinking to myself, why on earth would Cheryl start something like this? She is so busy. Because at the time, I remember Cheryl was working full-time in an HR department at the hospital. She was working part-time for 3 doctors doing their book work. She taught aerobics 3 nights a week and cleaned 2 people's homes. And she was planning her wedding to my brother Bill, so they weren't quite married yet. And I remember thinking, oh, that seems so strange that she's starting this. But you know what? They always say that the busiest people get the most done. And it was 3 years after I think that she started her business, 3.5 maybe, that she decided to step it up and decide to earn a car. And she needed 1 more person. And at the time, I had graduated from college probably about a year prior to that. And I was actually living in Florida at the time because my husband was military. And that's where I got, I would say, the dreaded call because it was my sister and Cheryl saying, okay, Cheryl just needs 1 more person to earn her first free car, and it's you. And you know how it is with your family, and you just don't know how to say no? Now, if it was my sister, to be honest, I would have totally said no. Because, you could be that way with your sister, but when it's your sister-in-law, she's kind of newer to the family, I wanted her to like me. And so I decided to come in to help her out. And I knew, though, that I was not going to do much with this business up front, and I made that very clear to them. And you know how you get your starter kit, and you're so excited for that starter kit when it arrives? It's like Christmas, right? Well, when my starter kit arrived, I threw it in the closet. It sat there, and then we moved from Florida to Appleton, and we threw my starter kit in the U-Haul. Now, I wasn't quite thinking very clearly because obviously it's Florida, it's August, one of their hottest months. And I left in that U-Haul for about 3 to 4 days. It could even been longer. Anyways, by the time I opened it up 3 months later, after I started it, like almost all the tubes had exploded. So that was my wonderful start. But you know what? It's not where you start, it's where you finish. And those first 6 years of my business, I did not do a lot with it. However, I attended the majority of the success meetings that were held here in Appleton. I found myself a great adoptee sales director. Her name was Katie Young, and I just love her. And the reason why I decided to go to meetings, even though I don't know, I wasn't really looking to do much, but I knew that Mary Kay women were super nice, and I didn't know anybody in Appleton. So I thought, yep, I'll come in, and I will just, come in to basically attend those meetings and meet some people in town. And they were the best meetings. I met so many great people. So if you're just doing this for hobby time, you know what? Those meetings are so important. But you know what? Those 6 years that I attended those meetings, I had no idea what it was doing for me personally. And what it was doing, it was growing my personal self-confidence. For those 6 years, I heard training, and my adoptee sales director always jokes about it even today. She'll say, you sat in the back of the room and you sat there for 6 years. And she said, I always thought you'd do nothing. And it was so funny because then all of a sudden I decided to start working. And what happened after 6 years of doing nothing, I will never forget it. I really believe what happened was divine intervention. I was on my way to work and I was listening to one of our local radio stations here in town. And on their morning show that day, which, to be honest, I never listened to their morning show, but that day I just happened to have it on. That's why I believe it was divine intervention. But they were doing all these different statistics on their morning show. And I love stats. Finance is my background, so I love numbers. And some were, kind of funny statistics. Some were a little bit more serious. But the last statistic that they mentioned, they said the year prior, out of all women working in America, all women, so everyone in the United States, all women, only 1% of us were making over $100,000 a year. Only 1%. And I'm like, oh my gosh, only 1% making over $100,000 a year. That's crazy. That's so low. But then they went on to say, of that 1% that are making over $100,000 a year, 70% of them were with Mary Kay Cosmetics. And I almost hit the guardrail at the exit ramp that I was getting off on because I thought, oh my gosh, out of all women working, only 1% making over $100,000 a year and 70% of them were with Mary Kay. Like, I was just shocked. And I thought, I've been at Mary Kay for 6 years and I haven't made a dime. So what's the problem? Well, that's where I realized this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. And I always tell people that. And I decided, okay, I'm gonna get to work. And so that statistic, hearing that on the radio, was the kick in the pants that I needed to get going with my business. So on August 29th of 2002, I started holding appointments consistently, like week in, week out, week in, week out. And if there's anything that I can share with people is that working your business consistently, I always tell people don't ever be a Zoom eeker, which means you Zoom, you go really like do 3-4 parties in 1 week and then eek, and then you Zoom, 3-4 parties and then do nothing, eek. Tammy Craig always talked about that, National Sales Director Tammy Craig. So don't be a Zoom eater, but instead be very consistent. And so that consistency helped me. And so I was working 50 to 60 hours a week at my corporate job as a financial credit analyst and started just doing Mary Kay, like I said, about 10 to 12 hours every week. And within 4 months of doing that, I earned my first free car. And I will never forget, for those of you that work full-time and earned your car, are going to earn your car while you're working full-time, it's the most odd feeling, driving your part-time job's free car into your full-time job's parking lot. I remember just thinking, you know what, this is the company I give my guts to, week in, week out, day in, day out, and yet it's my part-time job that is the one that is giving me the free car. And the company I did work for, did give free cars to their executive vice presidents. But, for me to get to that high would have been, that probably wouldn't happen in my lifetime. So then what happened is after I earned my car, I decided, you know what, I really want directorship now. And so I decided to, keep going. And so within 5 months after earning my car, I actually became a sales director. And then I actually left my full-time job and have now been working from home since 2003. And I think it was about a year and a half after we earned our, or after we became a unit, that we earned our first pink Cadillac, and have never looked back. And I will tell you guys that this business, it is, to me, my favorite part is watching the growth potential in women. I remember, and for me personally, I remember when I became a new director, I overheard and actually, I didn't overhear it. My mother said to Cheryl Peterson, my sister-in-law, she said, "You and Sue are so outgoing, but Amy is not." And so she said, "You need to, like really kind of handhold me and help Amy along the process." So, um, there wasn't a lot of faith even for my mom that, hey, this was going to be great. But that's what I love the most, is that the personal growth that has happened to me and all the women that I've watched come into Mary Kay, and how they really have just blossomed into that potential that God intended them to be. And so that was just kind of, my journey. And I will tell you today, I love the, obviously the paychecks are great. My highest check, like you heard, over 13,000. Um, Last month's check, 8,100. So the money is great. But what I wanted to share with you, my favorite part, is being able to work this around my family. I do have two kids, as you heard. I have an 11-year-old and I have a 6-year-old. And the thing that I always think about is that my kids would have been in daycare 50 plus hours a week, because that's what I used to work. And so I love the fact that I was able to be at where I want to be when I want to be. And when I was a consultant, I'll never forget, I was at one of the meetings, and this is when I wasn't working my business. I remember a guest came into our meeting, and she signed up on the spot. And I remember her saying, "The reason why I'm starting is because I want children, but why have children if I'm going to put them in daycare 60 hours a week?" Because she had a really she had a job that, just took a lot of her time, that she was super committed to. And she wanted to be able to get out of that, out of that job and into a career that, she could really have the complete freedom and flexibility. And that, to me, has just been such a godsend, that I've really been able to, keep my priorities in order, and be able to be on all those fun field trips. And when they're sick, it's no big deal. I can be home with them. And so to me, that is one of my most favorite parts, and the fact that I can provide Christian education for them. And my daughter will be going to high school in 3 years, and that will be a Christian a Lutheran high school, which is expensive. And so just being able to provide all those extras that I don't know if I was still working in corporate, if I would have been able to do, because I certainly wasn't making what I make today in corporate. So those things, to me, are just the best, that you really can't put a price tag on. And so I'm just so grateful that Mary Kay, we can have the freedom and flexibility, but we can also have the income to go with it. A lot of jobs, you either have the flexibility but not a lot of income, or you have a ton of income but not a lot of flexibility or ability to be able to be home with your family. And so this career has meant so much to me, and I cannot wait to mentor more people to the sales director position. To me, it is, if any of you are looking at a leadership position like this, it truly is the most incredible job on earth. I get up every single day and I pinch myself that this is my life. This is my life because I was able to design it the way I want, and I'm still designing it the way I want it. And that to just be able to have such complete control, to me, it just, I'm so blessed. We are all so blessed. So what I want to talk to you first about is the 21-day challenge. And I'm not going to go into the specifics of it because I'm training on it tomorrow night at my meeting, so I'm going to get more educated upon this. But I want to, I had a consultant say to me, "Okay, this 21-day challenge, this sounds so great, but how am I going to fit this 21-day challenge into my schedule?" And I don't know if some of you have thought that already. First off, Stephanie, has everyone heard of the 21-day challenge in your unit? Yeah, okay. So the 21-day challenge, literally, so I've had some consultants already start it. I'm going to start it on Tuesday, right after our training, and that I'm doing tomorrow night. And I will tell you that some of them were telling me, "Amy, I got it done in a half hour." So, or it took me hour max. So what I want to say to you is that There's no time like the present to jump on this challenge and get your name in for $500 cash from our National Sales Director, Sue Ponko. And when I was working in corporate, so I earned my car, became a sales director, all while I was working sometimes 40, sometimes 50, sometimes even 60 hours a week. And so I had to make good use of my time. So first off, what I want to tell you is to use that weekly plan sheet. That's on Mary Kay in Touch. It is a godsend for me. I don't know how I would have ran my life when I was working in corporate if I didn't have a weekly plan sheet. So it literally let me just, figure stuff out, put stuff where it needed to be. So the weekly plan sheet, I would just go ahead, fill that out, fill out where you can fit some time in here and there. For me, when I worked in corporate, we got a half-hour lunch. So there was a park that was kind of close to where we work. So I would just drive to the park, sit in the parking lot, and that's where I made my phone calls on myself. So that's how I really built my business, was during my lunch hour. I did all my I did about a half hour worth of booking and coaching calls every single day, Monday through Friday. So don't waste the precious time like your lunch hours, because that is time that you could use in your Mary Kay business. I know that at our director meeting on Thursday, where they talked about this 21-day challenge, they talked about Mary Grunholtz, sales director Mary Grunholtz, who's the one that created that video. She talked about how one of her consultants, used to go to her son's games and sit at the games and, would come in early, get her popcorn, but now she stays in the car until the game starts, and then she is doing her calls, and then during halftime is when she does her texting that goes with it. So the 21-day challenge, it was so interesting when it came out, but I was kind of talking to some of the directors that have been sales directors as long as I have. I've been a sales director now for almost 13 years. And I will tell you that we used to do a lot of phone calls instead of texting. And so it kind of is getting us back to that personal touch. And so I think that is so important. But the biggest thing is that some of us already have been doing some sort of system. This is just such a more complete system, and it just lays it out. So that's why I love the 21-day challenge. So, even if you're working a full-time job, you can fit this in every single day. You truly can. The other thing that I want to talk about is working your parties full circle. So we all know that at every party there are really, key things that you want to focus on. And when you go into the party, I always tell people my whole focus is to sell sets, from our set sheets that we all use to sell sets. Obviously, skincare is going to be where it's at. To get referrals, that's going to be my other big thing, is to focus on getting referrals. And I like to walk away from each party with at least 75 referrals. That's always my minimum target. And some parties you can walk out with a whole lot more than that. But then the next thing I always like to focus on is getting at least 2 to 3 bookings from every party. So focusing on that throughout my party by saying the word follow-up appointment at least 10 times, or PMS appointment, personal makeover session, at least 10 times. So however you guys have been taught, but to say that at least 10 times. Some people play the game. I used to do that when I was a consultant, where I play pass the prize. And so every time I said the word follow-up appointment, they would pass the prize. And then the last time I said it, then that would be the person that would get to keep it. But the neat thing is that it forced me as a new consultant to say the word follow-up appointment, because if the prize wasn't moving, I'm like, ooh, it hasn't moved for a while. I better get on that and make sure that I'm saying the word follow-up appointment. So that's the other thing, 2 to 3 bookings. And then the next thing is to share the Mary Kay opportunity with the women that are there, and to literally set up appointments to meet with them, either one-on-one, or that you're going to follow up, or have Stephanie follow up with at least 2 to 3 people at every party. And I always think about it, I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but I caught myself doing this a couple months ago, where, I don't know if you've ever had experiences, you go to a party and you are super tired, and you're like, oh man, I got to get through this party. It's been a long day. And then I go to the party, and I remember I skipped doing referrals. Now, I know better than to do that, than to skip referrals. And the interesting thing is that I was at a point a couple months ago where I didn't need any names. Like I had so many names to work with that I was like, okay, skipping one party, no big deal. But I want you to know that when you go to your parties, you want to focus on working that party full circle, doing all of those different things and not skipping a beat. And, even if I always tell my consultants, even if you walk into a party and maybe they aren't maybe they're a group of women that maybe aren't in the target market and you're thinking, I don't want to, get referrals from them because maybe I don't want to call those referrals. I always tell them, I don't care, just do it anyways. Because once you stop doing it like one time, you could get in the habit of doing that more often. And so I, told myself when I left that party that I would never do that again, that I would never skip a part of my party, skip any part of it, that, I'm going to do it all. So it is so important to, when you're doing your appointments, that you are always doing due diligence and really making sure that you are doing every single step. And the best part about it is when you start to build your team, if you want, you could bring your team members with you. And I love bringing team members with me because then I know I will not skip any part of it because obviously they are watching me. And so just really being focused, full circle. So you want to sell sets. You want to get at least 2 to 3 bookings from every party. And the thing of it is, whenever like if for some reason I'm not getting bookings for my parties and I've gone through a couple parties and maybe walked away with only one, and, my goal is, drop dead goal is at least 2 parties from every party. So if for some reason I walk away from 2 or 3 parties that I have only received, that I only got 1 new booking, then I always throw free product where I'm having problems. So if I feel like, oh man, I'm not getting as many bookings, then I'm going to fix it by throwing some more free product at them for booking with me. So, and also, sharing the Mary Kay opportunity, so important. Make sure that you are always, always sharing the Mary Kay opportunity with, like, maybe either doing Mrs. Cab or whatever it is that Stephanie has taught you. Do it. I think of my sister Sue, who for so long, never shared the Mary Kay opportunity. She did her iStory, but, never shared it. And it was when she started sharing it that she finished her national area. So it was such a key in the, the start of the build of finishing 2 sales directors to wrap it up. So to never, ever skip parts and just be focused on going through it all. And as a new consultant, if any of you are on here and you're new, I used to take the beauty book and I used to write out everything that I needed to say at my parties. And it's okay to do that. If you want to do that and put all the stuff, the notes in there, go for it. I actually did it word for word because I was so nervous. And, people always said, oh my gosh, look at that. How are you so, how do you do this so eloquently? How you're kind of new at holding parties, and yet you know what to say. And I say, oh, look, here's my beauty book. Everything's in here word for word. So, do what you need to do. Have your cheat book. Use the guide that comes with the beauty books so that you're staying on task and getting it all done and really working full circle. So the thing is, I guess the biggest thing that I want you guys to walk away with today is, first off, being willing to take the time to do that 21-day challenge, because to work parties full circle, obviously you need to get the parties on the date book. And so, taking the time to do that, being willing to kind of change your schedule a little bit so that you can fit it in about a half hour worth of work every day. And the thing that is so valuable about doing that 21-day challenge is it's forcing you to do something in your business every day, which I think is such a key part of it. And then one thing I'm going to tell you guys to do, and some of you probably already do this, but I would love to challenge you to box Stephanie every single day and actually send her a picture of the list that you are working with every day and what you've been doing with that 21-day challenge. And the reason why I say that is that if any of you work another job and you need that accountability, for me, that was such a key when I was building my business, because for all the time that I've ever worked, I always had a boss. And so for the first time being my own boss as a consultant, I needed that accountability factor. And so Cheryl Peterson was my sales director, and she said to me, she said, you need to call me every night. So we didn't have Voxer back then. So I would call her every night. It was usually 11:30 at night after I got done with my party, got home. And then I would leave her a message, and I would tell her all that went on throughout the day. And she rarely answered the phone. So it was a message that I would just leave to her so that she knew that I was, that I was accountable to her and that I was, working my business that day. And I will tell you, once I started doing that on a daily basis, I did it Monday through Friday. Saturday I took off, and then I did it Sunday evening. So 6 days out of a 7-day week. And doing that forced me to do work with my Mary Kay business every day because I wasn't going to call her and be like, I did nothing. So that is really what this 21-day challenge is doing. It's forcing you to work your business every day, and it doesn't take long. And that's the best part about it. It doesn't take long, and yet you're going to be able to get lots of bookings. And one thing that they did mention when I was at the director meeting, you don't really see the results until day 6 or 7 is what some of them had mentioned. So if you don't see anything right away, don't give up. Just keep going, because it does take a little bit of time because of the process that you're putting the names into. And the neat part about this 21-day challenge as well is that it really only takes 30 names to do it. So you can use this and then, work with your weekly plan sheet and, put in the time where you're going to get the calls in. So if you need to separate it and do a little bit here and a little bit there, it will only take you a half hour to an hour. That's it, every day, to get it done. And the other thing, too, is that working with that weekly plan sheet is going to just kind of take the load off your shoulder and take the anxiety away from you. When my schedule gets really crazy, I get a little bit of anxiety and kind of anxiety filled. And so that is what I love about that weekly plan sheet, is because if I told you my schedule this week, like, it's crazy because my daughter's in a lot of activities at school. And just that, their schedule alone is crazy, much less, adding Mary Kay to it and adding, my parties to it. So, and I know that's the same with Stephanie as well because of, the age of, and many of you that have kids. And so I will tell you that, I just focus on the next day. What do I need to focus on, right now to be successful, to make this day count? And so that is why, again, the weekly plan sheet, it puts me at ease. But then I just focus on, okay, what's going on this day that needs to get done? And just focus a day at a time, because that way I don't get so freaked out. So, but I want you guys to take Stephanie up on that 21-day challenge. Our national sales director, Sue Ponko, take her up on that challenge to really focus on doing that for 21 days. And I asked her, I said, because I think we were supposed to start it, I think, March 3rd. And I said, a lot of us don't have meetings until, up and coming this coming week. So she says, she told me, as long as we could get the 21 days in by the time the deadline was, that we were okay by the time March 31st hits. So as long as we can get 21 days, and we can take Easter off, just because it would be, probably good to be calling people or texting people on Easter. So I'm really excited about this. I think it's going to be a great way for all of us to, be working every day, get lots of bookings, and then at the same time being able to get those bookings so that we can go out and hold these full circle parties. So now what I would love to do is just kind of open it up for any questions that any of you might have, whether it was about my iStory, or whether you have questions on maybe the 21-day challenge or on the full circle parties. But I just want to, first off, thank you guys so much for having me on today, and I'm so sorry about the technical difficulties up front, but I love and appreciate your sales director, Stephanie, and I've learned so much from her, and you guys are just so blessed to have a sales director like Stephanie who is guiding you and helping you, and she wants so much for each and every one of you. So just to be able to, just for her putting this on every single month, you guys don't even know how great you have it. So thank you, Stephanie, for having me. Okay, should we open up for questions?
Yes, thank you, Amy. You did awesome. It was perfect. Thank you so much. I love listening to everything you have to say. It's all good reminders on what we should be doing, and focus. for the month of March. So thank you.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, guys, what kind of questions do you have for her? Amy is a leader in our national area, and she has built 5 sales directors already, and actually many more before that. So ask her questions about that and about the process too, because I'm kind of interested about that. So, do you guys have questions for Amy out there? Well, I'll ask you a question first, Amy.
Okay, sounds good.
While they're thinking, because it just got me thinking. I'm like, wow. I mean, obviously you. So one of my things that I still want to learn is helping people like get to that point where you had offspring sales directors. My big goal for 2016 is to become a senior sales director. So, I mean, I maybe talk about like what things you look for in consultants. Obviously, you know that they're ready and they told you they're ready, but you know, maybe describe some of the work that I know I should be looking for or traits in a consultant that are ready for that leadership position.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so I will tell you, in those first 6 years of my business, when I wasn't doing much, but a lot of times I would say to my sales director, I'd say, I think I want to earn a car, or I think I want to do this or that. And then I would never do it. Never do it. Like I'd come home from, I went to several career conferences, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to earn a car. And then I did not even one party. So I didn't even try to get bookings. So that is why when I was in the process of, wanting to earn a car, become a sales director, Cheryl was real adamant that I call her every night. So, and one thing with me, to be honest, for the consultants and directors, I will tell you that I am very, I want to say it in a nice way. I don't want to say that I'm dictatorship, but, like I expect a lot of somebody that is like, they want this and they're willing to go to work. And so I, will tell them, okay, so the first thing I want is exactly what my sales director said to me. I want 10 appointments on your date book. And she would tell me by Thursday, and I need to have it by Sunday. So, it was like a will. If you have a will, there's a way, or will, there's a way to get it done. And so that was, one thing that Cheryl did for me. And so that's what I would say to my people. And then, putting your money in, putting the time in that, like money where your mouth is. You make sure that you're at the events. You're taking the time to be at every meeting. You're taking the time to come to the meetings and bring guests. If people don't bring guests to my events, to the meetings and events, it just kind of shows me that maybe they're not interested in taking it, all the way to that next level, to the, maybe they love where they're at, but I expect a lot for people that want to move up. And so I just tell them, you better bring guests, because that's what's expected. Because also in that position, when you decide that you want to become a sales director, people are watching you, your team is watching you. And so it's so important to set that great example. So they're bringing guests. They are, calling our national area hotline every single day. They have appointments. They're holding parties. I think of my DIQ right now already has a perfect 3 in, and it's March 6th, right? So she already has a perfect 3 done. So, that they are gauging, okay, I need to do perfect 10 or 15 minimum this month. And so by the 15th, she wants to have her perfect 10 done so that she can move on to the perfect 15 by the 31st of March. So it's, obviously the activity, because the biggest thing that we do is when we tell ourselves that we want something big and then we don't perform, what we're doing is we are crushing our confidence and crushing our self-esteem. And so I never want somebody to tell me a goal that they think I want them to, or they think I want to hear. I want them to tell me a goal that they are really willing to work on, because otherwise, yeah, we sit there and we crush our self-esteem, and I don't want that. So and then obviously, so they're at meetings, they're at events, they're at career conference, they're at seminar, and they're out there, working, holding parties, and they're working full circle parties. And then every party, they're calling me every night and telling me what's going on with their business. So those are the key things. And then I know, yeah, they're definitely ready. for the next part. Moving on up.
Okay, awesome. That helps. Thank you.
So what were your favorite ways to tell your consultants to generate leads? Is it more from bookings for bookings, or was it warm chatting?
Great question. So my favorite thing is if we can all nail down getting at least 2 bookings from every party, I am telling you, we will never be frustrated. I think it's so important to get bookings from booking, and I think that it's kind of a lost art, to be honest. I see more and more of us, and there is a point that you need to do this stuff, honoring working women, handing out roses and getting names and warm chatting when you're out and about, doing restaurant promotions. And I love all that stuff because I think it's always important to have an influx of leads coming in. Facial boxes, all of that is great. But the biggest thing to me is if we can somehow focus on getting 2 bookings from every party. I mean, I think of Lisa Madsen. I don't know if you guys have heard this. In one of her trainings that she did, she used to come to Appleton almost every year. And I remember saying her first 2 years in the business, she never had to make a cold call. Like, she never had to call, she never had to go out and warm chatter and get leads because she got bookings from good bookings because she mastered that. And I think it's so important that we master that. And then, the extra stuff will be the fluff, the fun stuff to bring in. Because once you start to team build, you are going to need to get other sources because let's say tomorrow you go hold a party and you get 2 bookings from that, but then the hostess recruits right away. Well, obviously you're going to give her the booking. So we are going to need to generate leads once we start to team build. But I just love getting those bookings for bookings because it's just super simple. And so I don't know what you guys do. I've started using Sales Director Stephanie Shower's idea, and it's been working. And if it's okay, I'll share this, Stephanie. Is that okay? Basically what she does, I wish I had one in front of me. It's in the closet. Do you want me to go get it? I could show you. Okay, 1 second. Okay, sorry about that. Here it is. So this is Stephanie Shower's Hostess Packet. So basically, it's a roll-up bag, okay? She puts ribbon through it, and then she puts the Hostess program in here. In this, I have a little cello bag, and then ties it all together. But you could just do a folder. But everyone that's at her parties that books gets one of these. So you are giving away, I know my consultants freaked out when they heard this, because they're like, she's giving a roll-up bag, a $35 roll-up bag before, she's even holding it. But you know what? Stephanie Showers has done a lot of perfect 10s. And what I thought was interesting, out of the 2 years that she has done this program, she has only had one person cancel and not give the bag back, or, and keep the bag, basically. So otherwise, they hold. So that's just another idea to do. But, like for me, if I find that I'm not getting enough bookings for bookings, I throw free product at it. And so that's what I did. So that's what I'm using right now. But if you've got something that works, don't mess with it. Just keep going with it. Okay, great question. Any other questions?
I guess right now what I'm trying to work on is hostess coaching. So I'm really struggling. Like, I'm getting a lot of bookings, but I'm struggling to keep them to get them to hold. What do you have to say about that?
Okay, great question. So I guess the biggest thing that I do, I don't know if you do this, but I do a booking gift. Do you mail a booking gift to them at all? No? Okay. So my sister, Sue Ponko, taught me this. And it's so funny because I preach this till I'm blue in the face at my meetings. and at my new consultant training. And yet, I just found out last week there are some consultants that aren't doing it. And like, I can't even tell you how many times I trained on it. So basically, as soon as I book it, I send them a confirmation email, and I just ask them questions about their skin. And then I also say, and don't forget to look for my booking gift in the mail. And so what I do now is I've heard people do, I'm using little mini hand creams. And right now we have those lip glosses that are the preferred customer program gift. So sometimes I buy those and then my assistant will break them up and do like 2 in each little cello bag. And then she mails them a cello bag. And then it just has a postcard. And it says, hey, Susie, so excited for your appointment on Thursday at 6 o'clock. I'll see you then, and then I say something about don't forget to look for my email, because in my email it asks some questions for them about their skin. So I will tell you, since I have done that, again, it's another guilt thing, because just like with the roll-up bags that I was showing you just a second ago, that hostess program, this is for the new people that I'm booking. They feel guilty to cancel because they got a gift from me. And I will tell you, it does cost money to do it because you do have to mail it. But, I'd much rather spend a little bit of money up front versus being frustrated because so many of my appointments have postponed or canceled. But I will tell you, when I do that booking gift, I would say my hold ratio, I'm telling you, it's a good 85%. Now, sometimes they have to reschedule because of something happening in life, but they always reschedule because they feel guilty otherwise getting that gift from me in the mail. Now, let's say you book it tonight for Tuesday. Obviously, it's not going to get there in time. So if I do back to, like it's really quick booking time, then I just say, oh, and by the way, if you hold your appointment this Tuesday, it's the originally scheduled date. So if you don't postpone, I do have an extra free gift I'm going to bring to you when I see you on Tuesday. And then I will just, do up those either the mini hand creams or those lip glosses broken apart. We used to have these really cool shopping bags until Mary Kay got rid of them. That's what I used to use. They were those little shopping, I don't know if you guys remember them, but yeah. So that's what I use, and I will tell you, Sue Ponko drilled that into my head because I was always like, well, I don't want to spend the money on mailing stuff, and she's like, you need to do it, and she was like, you need to do it for 2 months and then tell me your results. And I will tell you that my results were like astounding, so much better. So try that, I guess, first.
Thank you. I also kind of want to go in the direction of, because I'm just trying to really get started, and I haven't done good with the bookings from bookings. So okay. A lot of my parties are kind of coming from referrals and warm chatting leads and restaurant promotions. Yep. So what do you do with them? Because I've got some booked that say there's 4 or 5 girls coming, so it's technically a party for me, but I don't want to scare them away by saying too much, or telling them, hey, I'm sending you a booking gift or a hostess gift. Do you still send that sort of gift to those types of referrals too?
Absolutely. It doesn't matter who they are, and I just say, I'm just sending you a booking gift. So even if it's a facial or if it's a party, what I do tell them is that if they do hold it or if they do have extra people there, like I don't go do a whole hostess program with them. I don't talk about the roll-up bag with them when it's like just, for example, this week I've got 2 parties that are from brides that I met at a booth. And so in that instance, what I will do is I will just go ahead and I mailed them out the booking gift, and I just let them know via text that, hey, if you have 3 people there, a minimum of 3 people there, I can give you $75 for $35. So $75 worth of product for $35. So they're going to get $40 extra for free, plus she got a $15 gift certificate from the bridal show. So I just do extra with that because you're right, you don't want to scare them off. So I would never I would never like go through this whole hostess packet because that would freak them out, and they would never want to, they'd be gone. So yeah, I just do the booking gift with the hand cream or the little mini lip glosses. It's the little mini hand cream, and then I do that, and then I just also, in addition to that, also do, increasing their gift certificate or doing the 75 for 35. Great question. Any other questions you guys have?
Yes, hi, I have a question.
Yeah.
When you were working full-time and working on directorship and building your business, how were you managing your time with your schedule? You said you did the weekly the weekly plan sheet.
Yep.
When you were talking about, like, as you're getting bookings like you're talking about, and you need to mail stuff, like, knowing you work a lot, knowing you had other priorities, how were you, like, planning to go to the post office? Because, like, for me, I work a lot of overtime. I do work usually 50 or 60 hours a week.
Okay.
Usually I work, my shift ends at 5, and all I keep thinking about is if I want to run my business, or I've tried to do it after work, is, like, I just run out of time. Like, usually things close by 6 or they close by 7, and, like, I'm trying to check my leads. I'm trying to, run to the post office. I have to go check all my facial boxes. Like, those are the things that I think about that kind of stress me out, to feel like I can't juggle all this sometimes.
Yep, I totally get what you're saying. So what I always did is that, like for me, if I had to go to the post office, I went during my lunch. So the post office, it was just the way I had to work it. So then it would cut into like 5, because my post office was pretty close to my work. So it would cut into my phone time that day because that's when I would be doing a lot of my booking calls.
Sure.
But the biggest thing I can tell you is that if it's mapped out on a piece of paper, like Monday, Monday you're doing, like let's say on Monday you're going to do your 21-day challenge, and you're going to do your half-hour worth of calling. You have it on there. Okay, so you don't have a party going Monday night, so it's happening from 6 to 7 or 6 to 6:30, and then maybe on Tuesday night you've got a party, but right before you go to the party, you are going to stop and get your facial box leads. So do like really have it laid out, and if you're doing facial box leads, then do that. I would probably save that, maybe, I don't know if you can, for like a weekend type of thing, but I know how it is when you work full time. Many times I had to go straight from work to my party, so that's just how it was, and it's probably how it is for you as well. So and sometimes because of that, I had a little spare time, like 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there. So sometimes I would just, make sure during those 15 minutes that I would just take time to do what I need to do, whether it was to get in some calls, because some people feel like I have to sit down, and I need to make a half hour worth of those, like for the 21-day challenge, half hour worth of calls at one time. If you need to break it up, you need to break it up. But the biggest thing is that weekly plan sheet will so help you just get everything in order, because then okay, I am not going to get my facial box leads until Thursday right after work. And then I am not, obviously with bookings, and you have to get to the post office, so, you kind of are going to have to arrange that. I don't know if you can do that during work. But the other thing is, and I can't remember what it's called, but some people use it. What's that called? I can't think of it. But it's a different way where you can do the postage at home.
Yeah, I was thinking about that might be easier, because I can leave it then with the mailman in my mailbox thing.
That would probably be what I would suggest for you. See,
Okay.
my assistant takes that stuff, but when I worked in corporate, I was so close that it didn't matter. I could just go to the post office. But
Yeah.
but your weekly plan sheet, because it sounds like how I was, that it really, like, even today though, I get anxiety when I look at my schedule. So it's like, if stuff is not laid out of where I need to be, and if it's not laid out for the week, I am freaking out. And so just make sure that you get it down, and what days you're doing what days you're going to coach this hostess. If you have 2 parties booked this, or 4 parties booked this week, you're probably going to hold 2. So and if 1 or 2 postpone, then okay, yay, that's your extra night to do some extra stuff that you don't get done. But just making sure that you have your hostess coaching time in, all the stuff that you need to do, but just put it on that sheet, because I'm telling you, when you put the the pen to paper, it just makes all the difference in the world in how you feel. I don't feel stressed out. I don't feel frustrated. Because the thing of it is, Mary Kay Ash used to say, when you feel overwhelmed, you probably need more help. And so if you can, at some point in time, when you're ready, you can enlist the aid of people to help you. Like a high school student is always great. I didn't have anybody helping me, but my husband really helped me out. He was kind of, I guess, my assistant during my DIQ times, because literally I would get home from my parties, and a lot of times I was traveling to my parties. It wasn't real close, and so I'd get home and I'd make sure that as soon as I got home, I cleaned my trays, everything was done, my starter kit was all packed up to ready to go. I filled my inventory in my car that I sold that night so that I would start out the next day fresh.
Okay.
So, but just saying, organization is the key when you are having 50 to 60 hours worth of work going on. Organization is such a key for that, because otherwise you are going to stress out yourself. But it's so doable. It really is so doable. I did it, and so have many other people.
Okay.
So you got it, girl.
Yeah, Stephanie, where are you looking for assistance? I saw that Facebook post, but are you going on Craigslist, or how are you doing that?
Yeah, good question, right? I'm excited to find my next help in my office, and I posted it on Facebook, and I got 2 good responses that I'm working with this week. I don't think I'm going to go much further than that. I have a couple neighbors that are nearby here that are moms that are home during the day, and I'm going to ask them as well too. So that worked well where I used to live, and that's the part I'm missing. I feel like I had 2 assistants at my old house, and then I moved to my new house. It was a year ago, over a year, and I haven't found new help, and it's the piece I'm missing. So I'm excited. So yeah, I guess to answer your question, I'm still just using my current network. I don't think I want to go too far outside of that yet to post on Craigslist or anything like that. So I'll keep you posted.
Pretty soon your 6-year-olds will be able to be your assistants. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, they put all my labels on. Well, Braden likes putting my labels on my products. And they help me warm chat, so they help me do other stuff. But
there you go.
Yeah, I can't wait till I know. It will be helpful.
Great questions. Anybody else?
Closing your potential team members, what do you do to get them to realize that you see in them, but you're trying to get them to close and or fill out their agreement, I guess.
Okay. So, I guess for me, I've heard this from Nancy Castro long ago, is, first I'm honest with them, and I tell them why they'd be great and why I'd love to work with them. And then I'd say, I'd love to work with you. Would you like to work with me? And then what I always kind of do is I always have a special going. I did this as a consultant. So, because I'm ooh, okay, so it's Sunday night, so I have a special going on right now, and anyone that starts by Wednesday gets a free satin lip set from me. So that's just one thing. I've always had a special going for that. And then, for me, I think I am always one that has just, Stephanie, your director, is probably much better at this question than I am, because I do a million layers. It's just I've always been. I will tell you that when at my parties, when I leave there, I have them set up for their own party. I also say to them, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to have 2 guests at my weekly meeting and I have nobody coming. Could you, does Monday work for you, whatever your meeting night is? So I have that layer in place. And then in addition to that, I also, send them home with a video information. And a lot of my unit members have been going back to Lisa Madsen's video, to be honest, NSD Lisa Madsen, or what is it, lmadsenSharing.com. So I've been handing that out as well. And I always say it's a little retro, but it's really good. I don't know. So I am the queen of layering, and that's how I've always been. I will tell you that I don't sign a ton of people on the spot, but I'm sure Stephanie does. It's just not one of my, we all have different parts of the business that we're really good at, and that's just not mine. But I will tell you, what I find is that through my layers, you know, they're going to come in eventually. So, yeah, but I just keep layering them, one layer at a time. So, but I love the special of the week. That really helps.
Okay.
I have a question about rebooking.
Yeah.
I always seem to struggle with rebooking the second appointment. Like, I do the thing where I tell them, you know, I constantly say it throughout the party.
Yep.
And then when it comes to talking with them about it, I talk to them about it, and then I say, you know, the same thing, you know, we can pick a weeknight or a weekday or a weekend, sorry, for me, you know, whichever works best for you. And I just never can, like, get them to, like, rebook and, like, decide on the spot to pick a day. It's always, you know, oh, I'll get back to you and let you know my schedule. And then, you know, you follow up with them via text or try to call, and then you just, like, don't hear from them on that.
Yeah, no, and you're right. That is like the death of it. So what I have always used is the tentative booking approach. So I'm really clear now at my parties. I'm like, okay, so just want you guys to know whether you guys, I don't know if you guys have done deal or no deal, because that's kind of like what I'm using, the roll-up bags, that's kind of like deal or no deal. They're going to get something great. So using something like that and letting them know that, you know, hey, I'm looking for, and, you know, Susie here, the hostess, is going to get extra free product for 2 people when 2 people share, or when 2 people book a party tonight. But I will tell you, if they're like that and they're hem and hawing on a date, I will say to them, I'll say, you know what, why don't we do this, Susie? Why don't we just go ahead, put a date down, and if for some reason it doesn't work for you, why don't you just give me a call or text me within 24 to 48 hours and we'll switch the date. So Mary Kay Ash always talked about a tentative booking approach, because when you use a tentative booking approach, when something's on the date book, it's much more likely that you'll hold it versus they never get back to you when they're like, okay, I'll call you and let you know, and it's like, So yeah, I always try to get on the books. And I just say, and the big thing is, you never want to show them your date book if it's completely white. So here's what you do. Fill in all the stuff that you guys have on going on in your life, so you look super busy. Because even when I was a consultant, if I didn't have a lot going on, I would fill stuff in so it made it look like I was super busy. So then I have it open. I say, you know, as you can see, I'm so busy that I just, I would love to get, you know, you on the date book here. So why don't we pick a date? If it doesn't work, we'll just go ahead and put it on here, and then you can let me know within 48 hours. So that's what I've always done.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? You guys have such great questions. Anybody else?
Okay, that might be it. If we think of anything else, I will always shoot you an email afterwards.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, they put a lot of thought into the questions tonight, so thank you guys for that. And I love how just true to Mary Kay you are, and real, and that you do expect a lot, and I love that about you, and your team knows that. So I think that's why you're so successful, is that your team knows that you do expect the best, and that, you know, that's how they get to be a sales director. So I needed to hear that tonight, so I appreciate you sharing that. And I know that we're going to take this 21-day challenge and run, and work these parties full circle. Like you said, I think if we can truly get good at getting bookings from bookings, that we will love our Mary Kay even more, and that will be the answer. And so I know I'm on that too. Is a couple weeks ago, most of the girls on this call actually were at the training. If you guys remember, I think we talked about the top 4 ways to get bookings from bookings and all the different ways, and it was really good. So I'm glad you talked about that today too. That I think we can't be reminded enough of that. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
So true.
Well, everybody can unmute and say thank you to Amy, and we appreciate it. And this is recorded, so we can send you the link. And if we can bless someone else with your amazing training, we will surely pass that on. So thank you so much, Amy.
Sounds good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Great.
You
Bye.
too.